wrong on so many levels.
Well, again, too, I mean, I always talk about all these people go missing in our country. I did a big search today for hours. I was looking in France, I was looking in UK, I was looking in Germany, I was looking in South Africa, for example. The people go missing is huge numbers where, they're cold cases where they have no end to it. In fact, they don't even get listed as a cold case because the FBI buries it as missing. And where are these people going? And some of the bodies that have been found are strange. Like when they do find bodies of people that they all of a sudden disappeared, a lot of them are found with no socks on and no shoes on, but fully dressed. And they're found in like ponds, lakes, and stuff like that. Now, if somebody's going to commit suicide and jump into a small lake or a pond or wherever, right? Why would they bother taking their shoes and socks off? That don't make sense.
That's right. You're exactly right. Why would you bother doing all that? I've come across a couple of cases today that's doing some research about this where, there was a guy, I got it here somewhere, I have to look it up later, but anyway, I think his name was Kopecky or something like that. He went skiing, disappeared, and he turned up like clear across the country 2 months later. It doesn't have no memory of how that happened, how he got there or anything. Now think about that for a minute. Now, what would be plausible causes? We can only guess. Did he walk through a vortex out there on the ski slopes and turn up, across the country? Was he abducted and then returned, or he tried to? We just don't know.
Or maybe he had a concussion too, and wandered for 2 months, not knowing who he was.
Well, yeah, not only did he wander for 2 months, he went like 2,500 miles across the country. And, and everybody's looking for him. And that was the other thing. And here's where it was weird, too. His tracks went to, like, the edge of a lake and just ended. Like, there was no tracks back. It was like, it was one set of tracks. He walked, stopped, and that was it. There was no other tracks. None.
Yeah. Hey, are we on Facebook Live yet?
Oh, we wasn't off now. I was on for 10 minutes. I was on for 10 minutes, and we've been off for about, I was on exactly 10 minutes, so.
Well, it just makes me wonder, what happens to these people? A big shout out to Clarence from Close Encounters Radio. Check out his podcast. It's a nice little podcast, and it's rather interesting to listen to with his points of view. But again, these people that I just don't feel. So many people out here think that whatever is happening is because it's a benefit to us. I just don't believe it. Maybe they stopped over missile bases, silos, right? And caused the equipment to go crazy for a minute just to show us they could do it. But are they showing it to us that to show, hey, look, we can stop you guys from having war? Or are they showing us that we can create a war? Because if they can stop it or start it, they can certainly start it and let it keep going too. You know that.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. We have no control. I mean, that's the bottom line. They can do whatever they want when they want to do it, and they can control us and have us do whatever they want. And just the sheer idea of that is horrific. I mean, it just is.
Well, it scares me.
It should scare you. And then, not everybody, here's the other thing, not everybody out there that they abduct and do these things to forget, or they get their memories back, and now every night before they go to bed, they have an anxiety attack. Is this the night they're going to come again? And it's scary. And then they may have families. Are they going to do this to my family too? Because, as a parent, you don't want something like that happen to your kids,
Well, I wouldn't, but it just proves the point. I can see some people coming back and say that aliens are here to protect us. Okay, that's good. You can believe that. I mean, that is your right. But if you really do a lot of research on cattle mutilation and go back far as you can go back as far as you can and spend weeks going through the data of people going missing. and talk to people. You know, in all these years, I've talked to hundreds of people that claimed that they were abducted. And maybe a handful seriously felt like they were here to serve, they were here to serve man in a good, friendly mode. Dave feels, I think, that way. That's the impression I got. I just get the impression they're not here because, look, he was talking about what they did to him. First taking him up aboard a UFO. Then the other times doing what they did while he was in bed next to his wife. They just came into his room. Or a reptilian coming out of, the closet and staring at him. And then basically he said he was like electrified. Remember him saying that towards the end of the show?
Yeah, absolutely I do. And that's the thing. I think, and then the other thing that kind of goes against people is they want to know the answers, because I think Dave, he truly wants to know the answers, and that can be dangerous, because it's like any other thing, especially in the paranormal with spirits and stuff, and playing around with stuff. It's, curiosity can be dangerous. Sometimes it's just best to let that stuff go.
Well, I'm going to say this, and Clarence, you might think you have the answer, and I don't want you to get mad at me, but I've been doing talk radio since '76, and with a couple breaks in between. But I will tell you this, I'm very well connected out there, both with, the community, and not just the community, with government people that have, contacted me through the years and gave me information. I'm going to be honest with you. One guy I know pretty well who worked with the CIA supplied me with a bunch of pictures one time of human mutilations. After you look at those, you'll have a different thought about what is going on, about abductions. Something is going on, and it isn't in people's imaginations. I think the people's imaginations are, James, when they think that these creatures are here to help man and friendly towards us. They're not. Okay? Let me take you home for a week, James. Let me stick needles in you. Let me take skin scrapings from you. Let me stick my fingers down your throat and try to come out your nostrils. Let me, do all this other stuff to you. What would you think of me afterwards?
Well, I would not think very highly of you unless you worked on my mind and put false memories in there, brainwashed me a little bit. Then maybe I wouldn't, I would be like, well, it's okay, but it's not okay. But you're right. I wouldn't like it at all. Not at all.
No, the first thing you're going to do, right, if you remember anything, you're going to get a hold of the authorities, and you're going to make sure I go to prison for what I did to you, aren't you?
Well, that would be the nice side of me. The other side would I would just stalk you down and return the favor.
Yeah, with a click and a pull, right?
Yeah, something like that. About 6 pounds of pressure.
Yeah. But, that's just it. I mean, unless somebody has been abducted or knows somebody has really been abducted, you can have all your thoughts you want, because you know what? You have that right. Everybody has their own right to, believe. We just don't know why they're here. We have no idea what is going on. But this has been going on for how long? So it's been going on for thousands of years now. So it's not, they're experimenting on us. They're not just trying to get DNA from us. They're not trying to go, there's another motive behind it.
Exactly. And you touched on it. This has been going on probably for thousands of years, to be honest with you. And again, they're not here to keep experimenting. I'm at the full belief at this point they have to do it to get something from us, either for food, maybe they have to use part of us to sustain their existence while they're here. That would make much more sense than they're still experimenting on us. I don't believe that. I believe they could experiment on us one time and get all the answers they need to know, because they're that far advanced. And then the couple onto that with this, Lord knows how many different species have their own agendas on top of that. It's not like there's just one. We think that's the other curveball in all this too.
Okay, let's stop calling them species. Let's just call them humanoids. They got legs and arms of some sort. So let's call them humanoids. Okay, species just makes me think of, the zoo,
Okay.
which we might be in. But the whole thing is, I've heard for all these years, all these different cases, people, again, the people that think that they're here to benefit man. Again, I really keep track of Earth changes. And we're in deep poo-poo. In the next 20 years, Florida is going to be gone. Part of the East Coast is going to be gone. Part of California, Oregon, and Washington coast is going to be gone. And, it is in part of Texas and all that stuff. Something is happening, okay? And if they're here to protect us and help us, they could stop it. They could put Antarctica, the North Pole, South Pole back in a deep freeze. One of the major poles is about ready to let loose. And if that happens, they're talking it's going to raise the sea level just from that up 30 to 50 feet. But you don't see much of that on the news because you know what? We're talking about, what's going on in Washington.
Right, and you're exactly right. And I will say this to the people listening. Gary, listen, if anybody knows about Earth changes, Gary definitely knows. So when he says something, he knows it because you've been watching and studying and following Earth changes like a hobby for years. I know this. And another factor, there's fault lines all around the world that could be activated, like the Canary Islands. There's a fault line that's ready to fall off the side of a mountain. The whole side of a mountain's ready. When that goes, it's going to create at least a 300-foot wave that's going to hit the whole east side of the United States. Now, factor into this. If that happens and the oceans are raised another 50 feet, imagine how high that wave will be and how far inland it will go and how many people will lose their lives and how many trillions of dollars of damage that will cost, along with diseases.
Oh, yeah. It's really scary. Again, today I was reading about Earth changes. It's between 2040 and 2050. Some big companies are coming into Washington State and buying water rights for one reason. They figured down the road, water is going to be very precious. And if they have the rights to the water, they can charge whatever they want for the water. And we'll have to pay for it. Because if you don't have water to drink, what are you going to do?
You're exactly right. Because here's a little preview of what may happen. Just go back to Katrina.
Well, you got 30 seconds because we need to go on break.
Okay, just look at Katrina. When that happened, all that water, good water, got contaminated by the sewer water. So them people were starving for clean water. So if you put that on a bigger scale, we're in trouble. Water will be the new currency.
Oh, it will be. Could you imagine having to pay a fortune for water just to drink? That is really scary. Anyway, we're going to be on break for 2.5 minutes, and then we'll be back with Tim Swartz. And, we're going to be talking something about the paranormal. We'll be back.
Siren sent from